Good morning. It is Tuesday, August the 18th, and this is Red Sea Roundup. I'm your host du jour, Pam Marvin. Later in the show, and a little bit right now too, we will be visiting with Dr. Miranda Walichowski to discuss the parent meeting. And this is not at the school, folks. This is going to be in your home. We have school right around the corner for some, but some of us have already started. We started yesterday. How about that? Our producer and extraordinarily cool human being we have in the studio today with me is Dennis Maka. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Pam. I'll take cool. I'm not sure about the talent part, but we'll get there piece by piece.
But anyone will vouch that you are a really neat human.
Thank you very much.
Jesus is so happy.
Good Tuesday morning to everyone out there.
Yeah, I like I said, we started yesterday, and I know things are really interesting around your house because tomorrow is a big day for one of your.
Our oldest daughter is starting the corps tomorrow. She's
No.
Be in
I have to correct you.
The Fightin' Texas Aggie Band.
There is a difference. It is so funny around my house right now with my husband having been in Aggie Band and my son being in the Corps of Cadets mascot company E2. Whoop. Sorry, I have to put in that plug. So Thomas checked it. We checked him into the dorms on Sunday, and he was just really nervous. What's it going to be like my sophomore year? He's what they call cadre, which are a certain class of the sophomores that come back and help to train, coach for freshman orientation week.
Wow.
It's pretty neat.
Maybe my daughter will get to call him Mr. Marvin.
Oh, he will find her. I'm sure.
She's the hardest thing is I think the physical aspect. I think she'll handle it just fine. So,
well, another really kind of cool thing that you may not know, some Marvin trivia. There is a relative of ours. It's also Sophia Marvin, right? Yeah. Right. She's going to be there with Amber.
I think they might even be in the same company.
No,
possibly?
They're not.
No.
I asked Amber when I saw her last time.
Okay. They'll be in the band together.
Yes, I think Amber's in B-BAT and Sophia's going to be in A-BAT. But you can see I am a huge Aggie fan, so y'all forgive me. Looking forward to football season. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of checking them in, I don't know if many of you have been up on campus, but it is torn up. The quad is torn up.
It is completely demolished.
They have you can't even get through the arches right now. Paul and I drove around going, wow, they're really making some changes. And Thomas is actually going to be living in the Commons in Dunn because they've been displaced because of the demolition and the upgrades there to the campus.
Lots going on. They're going to have everything renovated within another couple of years, and we'll see how it goes. But our second is flying the nest tomorrow morning. So, and our oldest is going back to seminary on Friday for his junior year. So time does fly.
No.
Amazing.
It's not possible.
Yep.
He's been there for 2 years already?
He has. Yeah. So he'll be starting his pre-theology classes, taking a lot less of the core curriculum classes.
And where is he physically?
University of Dallas.
Oh, he's at UD. That's right.
Yep. Up in Irving.
Yep. Shout out to all the seminarians. Please keep them in your prayers as they continue to discern this path that God has put them on. Mm-hmm. And just wrap that love around their hearts and prayers, folks. We believe in the Brazos Valley and what we can do in the power of prayer. Well, I have Miranda here this morning. Good morning, Miranda.
Good morning, Pam.
She is a close friend, confidant, and just a good buddy of mine, folks. And she is a wealth of wisdom. Now, let me tell you her bio. We're not going to get started with her right this second, but I really kind of want to introduce her so you kind of know what's coming up here in just a minute. She is Dr. Miranda Walichowski, and she's a parishioner at St. Thomas Aquinas, wife, mother of 5, from one driving and finishing high school to another in diapers, which doesn't do it justice because you've got like 1.5 in diapers, don't you?
Well, and then the dog now, so our new puppy as well.
Puppy.
So.
Oh, Miranda.
Yes.
Well, and she can handle it all. She's amazing. She teaches in the Department of Educational Psychology at Texas A&M. She's passionate about helping and serving others with all things time and life management. She has a website, mirrornews.com, where she provides solutions for a wholehearted, integrated, and peacefully productive life. And anyone who knows Miranda knows that she has a golden heart for Jesus, and he's really brought her to this point, and she gives him all the glory.
All the glory. Absolutely.
All the grace. So we are going to be talking about the family meeting, which I think is something that needs to be really delved into more and more and more in this day and times when people are doing less face-to-face. I was in Dallas over the weekend with my oldest daughter, who's is starting wedding plans. And one of her bridesmaids is a brand new teacher. And I didn't know this, and maybe you knew this, Miranda, but the state of Texas is planning to go paperless within 3 years.
Yes.
In their education system.
And you see it more even with children. Just as I was driving in this morning, there was a psychologist talking about her 5-year-old daughter attending first day of school, and they required a laptop for her. So devices
Fifth grader.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, woo, I'm glad that we're a little more antiquated in the Catholic school system. I know that this young lady, they're required to have like tablets is what they need to have, and all their documents are going to be all online. So as technology comes to encroach in, there's always a balance that we need to master, especially as faithful Catholics, faithful Christians. So hopefully today in the show, we will be talking about balance of family, and one of those things is the family meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what's going on around our community. There is not a really whole lot right this minute, but if you have something that I'm missing, folks, I encourage you to call in at 855-683-7332. If there's an event going on soon that maybe you haven't got on the air yet, or maybe you've been meaning to let Dennis know about it so we can have a spot done for you, I really encourage you to go ahead and call in today, 855-683-7332. Now, I am super excited to be plugging the Rural Life Mass that's coming up August the 20th. Is that this weekend? That is this weekend, isn't it?
That is coming up this Thursday.
This is the 18th. It's Thursday. Okay,
yeah,
that
Thursday
is this
evening.
week. Okay. That is over at Father Uche's parish in St. Anne in Somerville. Bishop Joe Vasquez will be celebrating the Mass, which is sponsored by the Austin Diocesan Council of Catholic Women. The Mass recognizes the hard work of our farmers and ranchers and gives thanks to God for a good harvest. There will be a dinner served after the Mass. I'm sure you can log on to their Facebook page or website to find out more information about the Rural Life Mass. It's a real honor to have the bishop over there and giving thanks for these hardworking men and women of Texas. I mean, how many areas of the United States do you really have the Rural Life Mass going on? Few, probably, some of our Midwestern states. But that's going on over there, folks. If you can find a way to make it over this Thursday at 6 p.m., St. Anne Parish in Somerville. Another thing, I tell you, I have so much respect for those folks over at, I think CCFM sponsors Encounter. It's the kickoff for the fall semester in prayer, and that is going to be the Saturday, August the 22nd at Christ the Good Shepherd Chapel from 7 to 9. The night will feature a short talk by Taylor Schroll, praise and worship by Josh Calhoun and Loretta Keeler.
And Deborah Borski.
And Deborah. Oh, that's not on my notes, but thank you for adding that.
Certainly.
And coming face to face with Jesus Christ in adoration. All are welcome. Doors open at 6:30. Now, when I visit a little bit with, I believe it was Matt Rice, or it might have been Alyssa Treader about this. This is one of those events, Miranda, where it is a whole family event. Like the whole family can come for praise and worship and adoration together, which there's not many things like this.
That's true. That's true. Any opportunity to integrate the family, then it's like killing several birds with one stone.
Yes,
absolutely.
This is just wonderful.
It's a very nice, peaceful event, and they dim the lights, and so the kids really do dial in when the Eucharist is exposed and lit up on the altar, and it's a very nice environment and very family friendly.
That's wonderful. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it sounds like you've been, Dennis. Did you go to the last one?
We went to the first one, as a matter of fact. We won't be able to go this one because we'll be in Dallas bringing our son to school. But, if we're going to get credit for bringing our son to seminary, I think God will understand.
Right. And, if I can find it, I am going to post a picture that someone took. It was Alyssa Trutter's younger sister, I believe. And I'm sorry.
Emily.
Okay. She posted a picture on Instagram right after the event. And it looks like something out some of the national Catholic Instagrams, because the incense and the light and Father Ryan and the exposition. Oh,
it's beautiful.
Was amazing. So Y'all remind me afterwards, and I'll try and find that and post it to Red Sea so they can see
Okay.
what a great thing
It's
that
open
is.
to the whole community, as Pam said, though.
Whole community. And, even some of I know Mary is really good, my daughter, about bringing some of her Christian friends to let them see something like this. And they really are very moved by adoration and Jesus and the Blessed Sacrament. So don't limit yourselves just to the Catholic field only. All right, the next thing, how about this? It's Wednesday, August the 26th. It's the Kick-Off Pep Rally at St. Joseph Catholic School. It's hosting the annual pep rally at the Emmanuel Glockson Family Athletic Complex beginning at 6 p.m. Join us for this family fun night to kick off another great year of Eagle athletics. So can you believe football is just upon us?
We'll be airing the games on Red Sea Catholic Radio, so stay tuned. Again, we'll be doing that each of their football game Friday nights.
Do you need a play-by-play commentator?
We actually, sorry, Pam, we have.
I know.
We have professionals that will work on it, and it's not
practice.
me.
Oh, I know. I think I've heard it before. I would love to get into that, though. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Have there not too many female ones, right?
I'm
It's getting to be better.
We work in partnership with Bryan Broadcasting, and they have a great team that does that.
Oh,
And so
that's neat. That's really cool. Okay. Well, that is really, for the most part, what I have going on. But there is one thing that's close and near and dear to my heart I want to talk about for just a minute or two. Dennis.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the benefit.
Yeah, it's great. We have our once-a-year benefit dinner coming up middle of October on October 15th.
A little earlier this year then.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
I like that.
It's right there, middle of October to the end of October is typically when we have it. And it depends on when the speaker's available. And so we're going to have this year, back by popular demand, some people go back. When we first kicked off radio, we had Mr. Steve Ray in. That was 6 years ago.
No.
It seems like forever, but also yesterday. So he did our original kickoff to announce Catholic radio. So he's coming back. We are looking forward to an extremely full house of over 400 people at St. Thomas Aquinas Parish Activity Center. It'll be Thursday night, October 15th, starting at 6:30 p.m. To find out all the information you need, go to redsearadio.org and /benefit, or just click on Steve Ray's picture right there on our homepage. You can actually register for a table, for individual tickets. We have a lot of table sponsorships that come in, and praise God, if you haven't done that yet, we still have some available. So keep on coming in. We will fill up this year. We will hit our maximum capacity as we have the first 3 years, as a matter of fact. So we moved to St. Thomas last year because the previous venue at St. Anthony's wasn't quite big enough. So we expanded into that, and we're going to fully make it to capacity this year. We filled out all our seats last year, but we're expanding that by a number of seats to accommodate for Steve Ray. And if you listen to the previous hour of our broadcast on Red Sea Catholic Radio, Steve Ray was on for Morning Air, and he's all over the world. So who knows where he's at? So he's calling in, talking about their pledge drive and their fundraiser and what he'll do. And I laughed because he promised them that if someone pledged $5,000, he would eat a grasshopper and film it and video it, just like in the Bible. And, so I'm thinking, we need to come up with some sort of a, food eating challenge for Mr. Ray while he's here.
It has to be very classically Texan too. Maybe rattlesnake.
Yeah, but it's an Italian theme, Viva il Papa. So he's going to be talking about Peter, the rock, keys, and chair. If you've ever had a chance to listen to Steve Ray talk, he is extremely knowledgeable about the entire Bible history, the Holy Land. He's going to give a great talk, and we give little snippets of that talk for our on-air promos, but spread the word. We're going to have a great time. It's always this event is just a nice kickback, enjoy your fellowship.
Fun. It really is.
It's a lot of fun. And so we try to do things different. So we're going to have a nice selection of wines there to go with your Italian meal. It's got a great caterer again this year. And so it's just going to be an enjoyable evening and a great speaker. We're not getting that as often as we would like here in the Brazos Valley. So we're trying to do that at least once a year. And this is it. Steve Ray's coming October 15th, redsearadio.org /benefit. Or if you just go to our homepage, you can find his picture and click on it, find out all about Steve Ray, hear snippets of various talks that he does. He's an extremely dynamic speaker. And so it's just going to be a great evening.
Very exciting. I'm really pumped about it this year, Dennis. I really thank you for the opportunity to even let me be a small part.
Yeah, Pam's a big part of this
No.
I haven't told her yet, but I'll talk to her after the show. But yeah, we gather everything together within the last 2 months, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have some unique decorations this year that are papal themed, and so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Good. I can't wait to get to work on it.
Great
I'm
fellowship.
very excited about it.
Thank you.
One of the things I really love is when God really puts something on your heart. It's such a joy that he gives you extra enthusiasm and energy for it, which I pray for that a lot because I'm a low energy person in general. I am in general. I am so low. No,
I've never
Dennis,
seen it.
You see me in the studio because this is one of my things that God just gives me the joy and energy for. So, and I truly do love it. And I thank you even just to be able to be a part of the station. But, I think we're going to go ahead and go a little bit early to our break so that Miranda and I can get started with this really cool topic.
Indeed. We're excited to hear about the family meeting, and we'll be back here in a little bit to our break. More on
Red Sea Radio. Well, welcome back. My name is Pam Marvin. I am the host of Red Sea Roundup on this Tuesday, August the 18th. And joining me today is a dear friend and colleague, Dr. Miranda Walichowski. Welcome again, Miranda.
Thank you so much.
Well, I have to say, I know Miranda very well, and she's got a really big passion for bringing order in your life because I believe, and she believes, that when you have that kind of order, you can develop your spiritual side in a much more profound way in the order that God wants you to, because we want to remove the chaos and bring in the calm, right, Miranda?
Exactly.
Okay, well, today is another facet. As you know, as we are called to have large families, well, maybe not as you can. For myself, that was God's blessing. I wish I'd been able to have more children. I only have 5. Miranda also has 5. But the family meeting, I think, is such a valuable thing to start to pass on your own beliefs, traditions, and virtues. So I want you to go ahead and describe to me your definition of what a family meeting is.
Okay. Pam, before I do that, I wouldn't be a good teacher if I don't set up with an anticipatory set. So getting people to think about and get in the right frame of mind. I'd like to share a quote from Tolstoy. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. So there are things that happy families just have in common that we can, garner and harness to have happy family life within our families. And unhappiness, just happens in any chaotic way. So please think about that as we talk about the importance of the family meeting. And what that is, it's an event that brings together all members of a household in solidarity to become intentional in who they are and what they are doing.
Well, kind of what I'm hearing is, while it is so good for us to have our own personal set of even just daily goals, but long-term goals, I'm really hearing too that we should have them, and I've come to know this a little too late in some ways, that as a family, you should too. One of the things that I was so surprised about, I'm just going to say this little side bit. This was fascinating to me. Last summer, not this past one, but last summer, we did one of those bucket list things of a family. We went to Disney World, which was lovely. It was nice. It was something I'd want to do with my kids. It was great. And as we're driving back those long hours from Florida, we start discussing what kind of family vacation would you like, as a family. And I was utterly shocked to hear that the kids were like, you know what? We want to go camping. We want to be outdoors. I was like, what? Get out of town. I thought they'd want a cruise or a Caribbean vacation or something to that nature. But no, they were like, no, we want to go camping. So that's what we've been doing.
Yes. No, exactly. And that's what you can achieve as a parent with a family meeting is you get insight to your children that you wouldn't have had before
Right.
and in a very comfortable manner.
Right. I mean, I was, you think you know your kids, but as they grow and develop, they can always and will always really surprise you. And that was a big surprise to me. I would not have guessed that. So let's go ahead and tell me a little bit more about the family meeting and why have one.
Well, as you know, as Christians, we are called to be good parents to our children, to parent our children. The document on Christian education by Pope Paul VI talks about not only helping them grow in the spiritual life, but helping them navigate all aspects. So it's not just a spiritual life, but it's also academics, and then being able to navigate things socially in our world as well. And parents are the primary person to do that. I also recall John Paul II, who is now a saint, reminding us that it's important that we form solidarity in our family. And as you can see, more than ever, that is such an important thing to do, to feel that there is a cohesiveness in the family in terms of intentions, where we're going, who we are. And we'll talk about it a little bit later, because if you don't, your rival is society, commercials and what they want you, commerce wants you to do with your family, and peers. Peers have an enormous influence on our children. And the thing that does counter that, all those external influences, is just conversation with parents, and the family meeting is a perfect way to do that.
It's so good. And then kids get, it still surprises me. I didn't really believe it when I first heard it. Like, your kids really do listen to you. I'm like, no, they don't, but over the years, now that I have grown children, I can really see that. And they may not have told me specifically, but I've overheard them say, yeah, she kind of got it right on that one. I'm like, what? They really do listen, especially, again, it's leading by example with your kids as well. But having that communication, it's not like some moms say, well, how do we impart our faith? Well, it's not merely telling them about the faith, which is good, and we need to do that, but it's living it. How in love with Jesus are you? Do they see that every day? So again, it's that example, and the family meeting is just another way of really letting your kids into your brain too.
Exactly.
So they know how you tick.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So I have been unsuccessful at having a family meeting really yet. I mean, I try, and we do pretty good because we do family dinners. We've really committed to Sunday family dinners, which that could be a pretty good context to have one.
Exactly.
It? Well, tell me some more examples of like models, the way you can make this happen, like just the real practical parts of the meeting.
Okay. So the first thing that I would say when you're looking to establish a family meeting in your household is to have low expectations and then set them even lower.
What? That seems countercultural. That sounds counterintuitive there. Miranda, explain that one a little bit.
Well, it's not going to be beautiful. I mean, it's not going to run with Robert's Rules of Order. You won't have a gavel, that works. You may have somebody potty on the floor, might be the toddler or the dog. Somebody might complain about she's sitting in my chair, or he looked at me, or whatever. So there's a lot of derailment that could take place, especially initially. But as a parent, we just have to realize that we're just called to be faithful and just to show up and give the best of ourselves.
So true.
And so just to continue on with it and try to enjoy the journey and the process, which is easier said than done, because I'm very type A and I would like it to run, in a certain way. And I have my vision of what we're going to cover. And each time we do this, I'm challenged to just let go and be flexible.
Right. Well, I think mine is, just listen, kids. Come on. Can you just listen just for a minute? But encouraging them to sometimes is like, really? What is it this time? Because mine are a little bit older now. So they're like, what, Mom?
What now? Mm-hmm. Yes. But I go back to Proverbs 22, verse 6 on that, where that we are to train up a child in the way that he or she will go, and at old age they will not depart from it.
Right.
So just plant the nuggets.
Thank you for reminding of that. I mean, I need to hear that. I should probably have that on my refrigerator or something, because it also inspires me to be, persevering in that to be the best that I can be. But okay, so in the practical aspects, I guess there's several ways that you could do it. It's probably customize it for your own family. So someone calls a meeting. How does that look? Okay, folks.
Okay. Well, obviously, you need to set a time and a day that are consistent. So for us, it's early evenings on Sundays. That works really well for us. So you'll want to do that so that children will become accustomed to knowing what to expect, when to expect it. Nothing will start the meeting off worse than pulling them away from an activity that they were fully engaged in. And so giving them a heads up or them just knowing that this is coming up will make them attend the meeting with a little bit of a better attitude.
Right.
So that's important.
Okay, kind of like when I am making the kids get out of the swimming pool, I'm like, okay, guys, you got 10 minutes. Finish up, wrap up. You got 10 minutes, something like that.
Yes, help them transition. And the next thing, before the family meeting, I highly recommend a parent meeting.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, a parent meeting to synchronize what you want to cover, what you're concerned about. And so you can come together as a unified force, to the meeting. Your children will see that you're in sync, and that gives them a lot of trust in you as parents. And you'll be able to address what's important. Maybe sometimes your husband sees something or has concerns that you're not noticing. So it's important to have that family, that couples meeting before the actual meeting. And it doesn't need to take long. I think ours, sometimes John's making chocolate chip pancakes and I'm there ironing clothes for church. And we'll just talk for a few minutes there to get ready before we have our family meeting.
Okay. And that's really good. I like this a lot. Okay. So we're actually driving home this past week and Dottie suggested something. Now you're saying, I'm like, oh man, that fits perfect into the family meeting. She goes, I really, really love words. And Paul's like, you know what? We should have one vocabulary word a week that we try and use in a sentence. So we practiced it on the way home from Mass last week, and it was really fun. We all got into it, and then we started being silly about how to use it in a sentence. So stuff like that.
Yeah, she's after my own heart. I love words.
Me too. Dottie and I are on the same page. So, okay, so I think in my home, probably the Sunday dinner, just as we finished up and we're all sitting around talking. Mostly what comes to mind for me, which is not very detailed because I'm real in the sky, but is, okay, what's going on this week? Is there any special items that you guys want to talk about? Do you have tests? What events do we have? Anything out of the ordinary? Do you have anything you want us to pray for about you? Is that kind of go ahead, and what are some of the finer points of the meeting?
Yes, exactly. The things that you covered are perfectly good things to do within the family meeting. You'll want to make it enticing, so either there's something to look forward to, so maybe you serve a special dessert during your meeting time so that they're willing to stay and be engaged a little longer. And so that always helps. I think one of the most important things that if no one is able to implement anything else, there are two things that they can do. And I'm really going to recommend more, but at least start off with two, which is one, just pray together as a family. Short prayer, just a few minutes is fine. And then synchronize your calendars because that reduces the amount of chaos in your home. I can't tell you how much. Yeah. How many times do you realize, I can't pick up this child and I didn't coordinate with my husband to get him, or the children will say, well, I didn't know we had this going on this evening. And so to reduce all of that, synchronize calendar so everyone knows where people are going to be throughout the week.
Oh, wow. That is so fascinating. I love this idea. I want to get better at it. And I guess you would probably tell me next is it's going to start out messy. Be patient with it. It's going to evolve over time. You'll get better. Like with anything else, we're not going to be out of the gate and do it perfectly.
Exactly. So just start small. Expect it to be messy and do what you can. Work within the parameters of your family. So many times the younger children will dictate the time frame that everybody is able to focus on. So for example, my 5-year-old is now fully engaged in the family meetings and she looks forward to it and she runs off and gets her notebook. Yes. So she has a notebook, a special notebook.
She's a lot like you, Miranda.
I think she might be.
Yeah, a bit like you. Okay.
But she's an extrovert, so I find her fascinating and fun. But she'll go and get her little journal and she'll just write letters or draw and so really enjoys that time, being engaged. The 3-year-old now is kind of getting better during that process as well. So before it used to be so chaotic with the 2 younger ones, but it's getting a little better. And so you have to realize what you're working with and just keep it short. It could be done in 5 minutes and 7 minutes. And just start off that way. Now,
do you have a special dessert or food or that you serve? And do you do it in your living room or do you do it in your dining room?
We actually do it in the living room.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
And so all the children will bring their planners and the younger ones might have something to color on or write on. And
Okay, my
that's
kids
where
don't
we
have planners. We're not as advanced as yours.
So maybe that could be a special gift you give them at the first meeting, and when they realize that you're wanting to know about them, it makes it more meaningful. It's like, I want to know what's on your calendar and what do you have coming up and what's stressing you and where do you need help? Those are very valuable things.
One of the things that I'm finding, and maybe you can coach me on this too, is that now that I have a middle school, high schooler, her schedule is a lot more diverse, shall we say, than my elementary student. And my elementary student just sits there quietly with nothing and feels left out and not as important because all of our conversations are circled around the older one because she's doing so much more. I mean, any suggestions for how to coach around that so everyone feels important? Like there's not one person dominating the whole meeting because they have so much stuff they're doing.
Right. Well, especially with yes, definitely with the older children, you may have to have a separate pre-meeting with them just to organize some of those big things going on. So they just come to the meeting with the highlights, and they're not dominating the entire discussion. Same thing with parents. So if synchronizing your schedule with your husband's is going to take quite a bit of time, it's best to do that separately and then just come with the highlights. Because that way you can focus on facilitating and helping everybody be engaged. And with your younger daughter, you could ask her, what is your goal for the week? And perhaps they might want to practice a virtue. And you might ask about, how they made friends at school, or how maybe there's a new student that they were able to engage, throughout the week and become friends with that student. So you could ask them about their plans around that.
I like that. I had the blessing of being out in West Texas in the Big Bend area over the summer. And someone I met there, wonderful folks that owned the establishment, what they've done with their children and then with their grandchildren, what I think is really cool, is not just even simply a virtue, yes, but a specific Bible verse that actually resonates with that child. Just as an example, if you have a child that has a high amount of fear, those type of quotes that are calming and you're wonderfully and fearfully made,
right.
To help to calm them so they know that make you really basically helps to calm that type of passion in them. So I really like that. Maybe one of our family meetings will about, okay, let's look at some of these really awesome Bible verses and see which one really resonates with you and one that you'd like to work on for the month, for the week, for the month. For me, I'm a little slow learner, so I probably would need one for more like a month.
Mm-hmm.
But is that some of the other types of things we talk about?
Absolutely. And we can cover some of those specific ideas to, really embrace the whole person, the integrated person, because that's what I like to talk about.
Okay. So you just said integrated person and a wholehearted person. So
yes.
Can you explain to me some of those?
Actually, you inspired the wholehearted. We were having a conversation one day, and this was the time that I was kind of wrestling with what it is I wanted to do with Miranda. And I remember you saying something about wholehearted living, and then I said, that's it.
That's actually Brene Brown.
Yes,
I got that from her.
From University of Houston.
Yeah.
Yes.
Daring Greatly.
Yes.
That was the book I read that just resonated with me so much. I mean, it's I don't know, the way I define it, and you add to it too. A wholehearted person is someone who knows, and these are your words, who they are and whose they are.
Yes.
That is we've tweaked that a little bit about from our Christian Catholic perspective, that it is, who you are and whose you are. You're wholehearted. You live from that place, really striving to love as Jesus loved.
Exactly. And that's one of the little mantras that I say to myself whenever I'm confronting anything that might be challenging or that might be uncomfortable. And I remind myself, I know who I am because I know whose I am.
That's right.
And that just provides so much security.
It does. I really love that. Just even that phrase is empowering enough too.
Yes.
I want you to know I've really, really shared that with a lot of folks, and I appreciate that so much. But you also talked a little bit about what an integrated person is.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Well, we are spiritual beings. We are physical beings, intellectual beings. We are also relational beings, and we are emotional beings, and also material beings. So there's practical aspects to our lives, for example, managing finances, managing the environment. And I don't know if I mentioned intellectual beings, but that's one as well. And so I have some ideas I could share with you about what could be covered to develop any of those areas. So which one do you want to start with?
Well, no, repeat them one more time, just in order.
So we are spiritual beings. We are relational or social beings. We are intellectual beings. We are emotional beings.
Me, sometimes more than I want.
Yes. We are physical beings. And then the next one I call material beings. And so, like I said, that has to do with, finances and just the quotidian aspects of life, managing the home environment, those type of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not a certain hierarchy to it, right?
No, I just kind of named them.
Okay.
But they're kind of said that way by most people. Matthew Kelly talks a lot about that as well, how we have all those dimensions to ourselves.
Okay, and so these are also parts of how the different cogs of the family unit all need to have their own set of goals. It's of course different for the different types of ages. So let's just focus on, say, the maybe our age, but middle schooler, early teens, what that means and looks like a little bit for the spiritual relational part. So I know spiritual development within the family and what you can do as your first principal educator of your child. I have a couple of ideas, and I'd like to hear yours too.
Okay.
Like as I alluded to earlier, let your kids get inside your brain a little bit about what you're thinking. One of the things I started, pray out loud so they hear how you pray at night. I started for many years. We just did some of the routine nighttime prayers with one another, and some, really just spontaneous. Like I would pray on their behalf. But as they grew older, I was like, you got to do something more. So I started like having that conversation, like what I talk to Jesus about, and which it's a little different than when you're, different ages. So is that the type of thing, like let them be in your head and see how you pray? What does it look like? The modeling, I guess, is really what I'm getting at.
Exactly. The modeling, the coaching that comes into play. And also, like you said, in education, we call what you say think alouds. So, and it's an effective strategy.
Okay, think alouds. I like that.
Yes, so that people can get in your head and understand how you're processing something, how you're breaking something down, how you're struggling with something. So think alouds, definitely a great way to parent, just as well as, how you model and live out things.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly puts into words what I've been trying to say.
Yes.
And I know that this is a big part, especially with children at almost any age, is the relational aspect. And when you say relational, like I want to define it further as among the family, but outside the family as well.
Right. So for the spiritual, let me just point out, for example, like you said, memorizing a scripture verse, everybody could do the same one or a different one and then come together and just recite it. You can also take a course together if you have older children. So I've purchased courses online, spiritual courses, on the faith or the Bible, and that's something that you could do in small chunks, break it down. You could look at current events from a faith perspective. So this is happening in the news. What does our faith say about it? What does the catechism say about it? Would be a great way to instruct. And then you could also do gospel meditation. So just read scripture and discuss. So those are some suggestions.
Those are great.
And please do not try to do them all, because at once. Yes, don't be overzealous like I am sometimes. And in terms of the relational, this is a fun category. What I love to do under relational is just personal inventories. So exploring, for example, the gifts that your children have, the charisms. Doing something like a strength finders with them so that you can understand how they perceive the world and how they function. You could also look at their temperaments. So there's many children's books, children geared for children to identify their temperament, identify their love language, And most children will really like that. Most children will like that opportunity to be introspective. And
we actually did that because Annie went to Camp Basic this past year. So, shout out to CCFM for that. And she came home and she had taken the love language inventory.
Oh,
you come
great.
home and take it with your kid. I'd actually given her one before and she still scored relatively the same. But I love it when it always comes up again because it was very cute. For those of you who are familiar with the love languages, there's 5.
yes.
Can you name them quickly? Because I can't name them quickly.
Oh, my. Let me see. So there's physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, and
acts of service.
Acts of service, yes.
Okay. Well, Annie didn't, when we took it at home the first time, she was like, she kept scoring herself low on the material one, even though she had a very strong, she goes, but that just sounds so bad that I like getting gifts. I'm like, baby, no, it's okay. That's
Right.
part of how you're made. So on the next time she took it, she didn't really hold back. And so it was
great.
more obvious. And I have more than one child that is a gift person. And that's like my number 5. So I'm like, what is that? But that's really good to know about your kids. So folks, I really encourage you to have them, especially if they're elementary or older, to take that little inventory. You can just go to their website
Right.
and download one and have them fill it out because you will gain some more insight into your kids and the way they think. And especially because if you're not wired that way, it's so valuable to know and be able to better parent them.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes, so important.
Sorry. That's relational?
Yeah, so that's relational, social, because as they know themselves and how they approach the world, and you understand how they approach the world, you can parent better. So when I know I have a phlegmatic child and I'm trying to make him do something, I know I can't approach it as I do with my choleric child, for example, if you're looking at the temperaments. And we actually joke about things like that. And, I'll say, or even Bourne himself will say, well, that's my choleric side coming out, so I have to do this, and so it really becomes a neat way.
How old is Bourne?
He's 9 years old.
9
Yes,
years old.
10.
It's my choleric
10,
side,
yes,
Mom.
yes.
Okay, that's not your average family, Miranda.
Oh, no?
I gotta tell her that. Not everybody knows those words. And that's just so cool. I love it. So
It's so much fun. And then I guess, do you want to look at?
Wait, I want to stay on the relational
yes,
for just
ahead.
a second because one of the things I think you find from the minute they're like in school is the conflict with peers.
Right.
And how to handle that and how to be. I mean, I've really seen a morphing. Like I've got one child that has a very low tolerance for ill behavior and she's going to let you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another one who is crushed by just a crossways look, right?
Right.
So we have to coach them for right perspective.
Exactly.
Constantly. And given, stubbornness, temperament, that can be really tough. So I think talking about their day, one of the things that we've used with that relational aspect is, what is one of the ways that you made Jesus happy today? What did you do to make Jesus happy today? Oh, Mom, a friend of mine was really sad and I comforted them. Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
Okay. And then what is one of the ways you might have hurt Jesus? What is one of those ways you might have hurt him today? Oh, I said something rude. I really shouldn't have. No, yeah, I probably shouldn't have hurt Jesus today. But the point being, talking about that relationship with others outside the family, not even to mention inside, because that's a tough one all by itself, the sibling stuff.
Right.
But I love those kind of things too. And you know what? That is the beginning of examination of conscience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's the vinculum of having the family parent meeting leads beautifully to that. It just allows a safe place for people to do that. Which just brings me to a reminder. Make sure that that it's mostly focused on positive things, at least an 8-to-1 ratio. So don't just use that time to talk about how chores weren't done or something like that. You want to also inculcate a lot of positive things as well.
Yeah,
so
you won't have very happy campers returning very often.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever you run against challenges, just kind of post some questions and then, follow up later.
Yeah, that's the chore part. Where does that lay on our list?
That would be under the practical and material things, yes. So you would create a family mission statement. We're in the process of creating family rules, and I want to narrow it down to maybe 1 or 3. We were supposed to work on it last time, but some people got derailed by fantasy football or something. Yes. And so I think we're going to bring it up again at the next Sunday meeting.
Oh, when I worked on this summer, and I've just dropped it because it's not been the forefront of my mind, which is, I'm glad you're bringing it back, is family virtues that
Yes.
we really want to practice. Yeah.
Yes, you could do that for the week or for the month and then report back how it's going.
Mm-hmm. And that's under spiritual. This is
Yes, the
we
spiritual
just started
would be-
talking about the material. Is there more you want to talk about on that part?
Sync calendars, establish some goals. It's always important to end the meeting with a call to action. So each member is going to do something, based on this meeting, and it could be a simple goal that they choose, and you remind them of that goal, and they report back for accountability. So that establishes a way that they can develop their soft skills, which there was a study done by Andrew Mellon Carnegie Foundation that talked about how soft skills, and this was they surveyed 500 CEOs and asked, what makes a successful person, somebody that you will want to hire to work in your company. And they said it isn't so much the hard skills. Of course, you have to have some level of that, which is the technical knowledge, but they really want soft skills. And that's not something that is taught in schools, and sometimes parents don't teach them. Soft skills are the ability to have self-discipline, to set goals, to work as a team, to communicate with others, all those things that can be practiced and rehearsed in the family meeting. Yes. Yeah. So you are setting your child apart because there's going to be hundreds of people that have those technical skills competing with your child.
Yeah.
But if your child can show that they have soft skills, that's going to set them apart. And that's according to a study done by CEOs who hire the best.
Wow, I really like that. Soft skills, the ability to set goals, be self-disciplined. And did you say a part just really, one of the things I think that our culture has really lost on this aspect with relationships, especially outside of the home, is a sense of good manners, which
Yes.
is saying, I respect your dignity.
Right.
And folks, I feel like we've really gotten away from that. And I think that's going to be even more important in the future where, you have that self-control not to pop off and things like that, that you keep some of your negative thoughts to yourself. Or, as we all try to see people as Christ sees them, which is with abundance of mercy, knowing that we're all broken people. But that's going to be more important in the future, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. Intellectual.
Oh, intellectual, like you said. Oh, I love that. Learning a word a week or several words throughout the week and then coming together and sharing those or choosing the words and then practicing them. And, that would be a really fun thing to do. You could take a course together online. So there are many courses that are free. So there's MOOCs. I'll send out a link to that when I tell you about the little gift I have for the audience, where you could take online courses for free from actual, top ranking universities. And yes. So
wait,
courses.
Back up a second. MOOCs? What is
Yes, it's
MOOCs?
called Massive Online Open Courses, I believe, if I'm correct. And you can take courses from MIT, from Harvard, from Stanford, from Texas A&M. On various topics. I mean, there's art, there's music, there's business, there's communication, there's spiritual things, and they're all free. And so that's something that you could do intellectually. Another thing that I love to do, and we don't do this one very much because of the younger children, but when it was just Brenner mostly, and then Bourne was engaged just by listening, we would all choose a topic that we would read about, and I would go to the children's library. So, for example, if we wanted to study philosophy, I would go to the library and find a series on philosophers, and I'd get 3 books. So this is children's level, maybe 6th grade or so. And I'd get maybe Plato and Socrates, Aristotle, and bring them home, and they would choose who they want to read about and then report back. And so we used to do this. We called it dinner topics or dinner conversation, but it could be something that's done at the family meeting. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes and researches something, and then you come back and then discuss how it applies to your life.
Right.
So those are intellectual ideas.
Okay, we had one. This is kind of a Marvin. I'm going to put a Marvin spin on it. We're not doing Plato or Socrates, but Annie was saying, I don't know how you use science in the real world. What is that about? I'm like, oh, my sweetheart. Oh, my sweetheart. Nature is science. And so perfect opportunity.
Yes.
Yesterday, I don't know how many of you saw it, but we were still tying up some loose ends with school shopping. We walked outside the store we were in, and up in the sky was a full, complete rainbow. And at certain times, it was a double rainbow. And I'm like, okay, Annie, how is that happening? That's science. And so that's a perfect type of thing. Like ours would be more science related. How does this happen? Tell me about the rainbows. And Dottie and I, oh my goodness. One of the really cool things she and I really love are clouds. And while we were at that Big Bend National Park, and there was a book for cloud watchers.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a journal that had like pictures of the clouds, and then it would have a place where you could say, I saw this on this day at this time. And it had, it was a thick little journal, too, of all different types. I mean, it goes beyond the four basics or whatever there are. But I guess that's perfectly what you're talking about with the intellectual.
Yes, and tap into their interest, to do this.
Yes. Yeah, I'm still working on my Ann.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. She's got the boy thing on the brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too much. Oh, well.
Good thing. Role playing, that brings me to that idea. If they're having issues that they're confronted with, you could role play during a family meeting, and that could get very giggly and funny, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're planting nuggets.
Right. That's so true. The self-control. I'd like us to play more self-control games.
Right.
I feel like, no, but I'm serious. I think this is something for us to really explore a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have about 3 minutes to wrap up everything up. I'd like to see us come up with more self-control type games for our kids, because I think it's really a discipline that was a wave that I believe started with maybe the parents of the 60s, where they didn't like the confinement, so they fought it. And well, now we know that there was a purpose and a good reason for it. So self-control games are really good. Can you suggest something like that? Like for your kids, how do you coach them on self-control?
Maybe to just reflect in a journal and write quietly, for a few minutes. And we call that generative writing, where they're just dumping ideas that come to their mind, and they're disciplined enough to just do that without stopping, and you can time that for a couple of minutes, and then you can discuss whatever they want to bring up, from that. So that's one way. And then just encouraging them as they set up goals. That could be a thing. We're going to engage in self-control. What is grabbing your attention in a way that's distracting you from what's important, and how can we do better with that, or how can you do something differently? So if it's being, time online, they might set a goal to eliminate that or moderate that a little bit, a few times a week or something like that, and you report back.
I did. I researched this topic a lot because it just seems to be something that it's really needed in our family. And one of the things I saw that I thought was a beautiful phrase: be willing to tolerate discomfort for a greater purpose.
Yes.
Which I thought, wow. So there are times now when things like that kind of come up. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to clean the kitchen. Be willing to tolerate a discomfort for a greater purpose. So focus on what is the goal. The goal is a sparkly kitchen. A goal is a clean room. And when we reframe it that way a little bit, it's like, okay, I can do that a little bit. It's a little bit easier for them to see.
Right.
Well, we are kind of winding down. Oh my goodness, we still have 2 minutes, really, Dennis? No, just one. Oh
just
gosh,
I could go on forever.
So let's go ahead and try and wrap things up.
Okay.
Tell how our listeners can learn more.
Okay. I'd just like to remind all parents, and this is something that I have to remind myself of. Patience is a heroic effort at dying to self and suffering in silence, so that through unbroken love, others can grow. So when we come to the family meeting, sometimes we have to set our agenda aside and allow God to work on his own time, give our children time to work on, allow them to make mistakes. But then our mission is just to keep showing up and keep trying and keep asking for docility from the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to provide a link for anyone that would like a template to help you with your family meeting. Just go to Mirror News Facebook, Red Sea Facebook, Twitter, Miranda at Walichowski. Any of those places, and you can have that this evening.
And we'll have those resources up. And if you have any more questions for Miranda and I on this topic, you can surely post them on the Red Sea Radio Facebook page. If you haven't already liked it, please go over there and like it. We appreciate and want your input. I'm hoping to get to the point where we can have people ask questions over Facebook that we can address on the next week's show. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I want to say, come back next week where Judy Wilcoma will be your host again. It's always fun when she's at the mic. So, folks, until then, when choosing between the values of heaven and the world, always round up.